The Honest Woodcutter. In a small village near a quiet forest, there lived a poor woodcutter named Tom. Tom was not rich. He did not have a big house or fine clothes. His house was small and made of old wood and clay. The roof was weak, and when it rained, water sometimes fell inside. But Tom did not complain. He was a simple man with a kind heart. Every morning, Tom woke up before the sun rose. He washed his face with cold water from a small jar, ate a little rice, and drank some tea. Then he took his old axe and walked into the forest. The forest was not far from his house. He knew every tree and every small path there. Tom cut trees and sold the wood in the village market. The money he earned was not much, but it was enough to buy food and simple things. He never cheated anyone. When people paid him too much, he returned the extra money. When people paid too little, he still smiled and accepted it. People in the village knew Tom very well. They said, "Tom is poor, but he is honest. Tom is not clever in business, but he is very kind." Tom lived alone. His parents had died many years ago, and he had no wife or children. Sometimes he felt lonely, but he did not become angry with the world. Instead, he talked to the birds and trees when he worked in the forest. One morning, Tom woke up as usual. The sky was clear and the air was cool. He took his axe and walked toward the forest. On the way, he passed a river. The river was wide and deep, with clean blue water. Fish swam quietly inside, and birds flew above it. Tom often crossed this river, using a small wooden bridge. But that day he decided to walk along the river first. He liked the sound of water. It made him calm and peaceful. When he reached the forest, he began to cut trees as usual. Chop, chop. The sound of his axe echoed in the forest. After many hours, the sun climbed high in the sky. Tom felt tired and thirsty. He decided to rest near the river before going home. He sat on a big rock near the water and drank some water from his bottle. Then he stood up to wash his hands. But suddenly his foot slipped on a wet stone. "Hey!" Tom cried. His hand moved quickly, and his axe fell from his hand. Splash! The axe dropped into the deep river and disappeared under the water. Tom's heart stopped. "My axe!" he shouted. He looked into the water, but he could not see it. The river was deep and dark in the middle. Tom sat down slowly. His hands were shaking. "That axe is the only tool I have," he said to himself. "Without it, I cannot cut trees. Without cutting trees, I cannot earn money. Without money, I cannot buy food." Tears came into his eyes. "I am poor," he whispered. "Now I am even poorer." He did not know how to swim, and even if he did, the water was too deep and dangerous. Tom sat by the river and cried quietly. After some time, the water in the river began to move strangely. The wind became soft, and the birds stopped singing. A bright light came from the water. Suddenly, a beautiful fairy appeared. She had long golden hair, white clothes that shone like stars, and kind eyes. She floated above the water like a small cloud. "Why are you crying, good man?" the fairy asked in a gentle voice. Tom was shocked. He had never seen a fairy before. He stood up quickly and bowed. "Dear fairy," he said, "I dropped my axe into the river. It is the only tool I have. I am poor, and I do not know how to live without it." The fairy smiled softly. "Do not worry," she said. "I will help you." She raised her hand, and the water opened like a door. A moment later, she came back with a golden axe in her hand. It was bright and beautiful. It shone like the sun. "Is this your axe?" the fairy asked. Tom looked at it carefully. It was very beautiful, but it was not his. "No, dear fairy," Tom said honestly, "that is not my axe. My axe is old and simple." The fairy nodded. She went back into the river again. This time she returned with a silver axe. It was also very beautiful and clean. "Is this your axe?" she asked again. Tom shook his head. "No, dear fairy. That is not mine either. My axe is old and has a wooden handle." The fairy smiled wider. She went into the river for the third time. This time she came back with an old axe. It was rusty, and the handle was worn. Tom's eyes became bright. "Yes," he said happily. "That is my axe. Thank you so much." The fairy looked at Tom with warm eyes. "You are an honest man," she said. "You did not lie to get the golden or silver axe. Because you are honest, I will reward you." She gave Tom all 3 axes, the golden one, the silver one, and his old one. Tom was shocked. "All for me?" he asked. "Yes," the fairy replied. "Honesty is more valuable than gold." Then she slowly disappeared into the river. Tom stood there for a long time, holding the 3 axes in his hands. His heart was full of joy and gratitude. "Thank you," he said softly to the river. He walked home that day with a light heart. When he reached the village, people saw the axes and were surprised. "Where did you get these?" they asked. Tom told them the whole story. Some people were amazed. Some did not believe him. Some felt ashamed because they were not always honest. A few days later, a greedy man in the village heard the story. He thought, "If I drop my axe into the river, I will get gold and silver too." So he went to the river and threw his axe into the water on purpose. Then he began to cry loudly. The fairy appeared again. She showed him a golden axe. "Yes, that is mine!" the greedy man shouted. The fairy looked at him sadly. "You are not honest," she said. She disappeared, and the greedy man lost his axe forever. From that day on, everyone in the village learned an important lesson: honesty brings true rewards. Greed brings only loss. Tom continued to live simply, but he was no longer very poor. He sold the golden and silver axes and used the money to repair his house, buy food, and help other poor people. But even with money, Tom did not change. He was still kind. He was still humble. He was still honest. And people respected him more than any rich man